The next wave of business leaders won't just use AI, they'll master momentum with it, starting now. Welcome to the Mastering AI Momentum Show, where visionary founders and driven business leaders turn artificial intelligence, automation, and scalable systems into real growth, real scale, and real freedom. If you're ready to break bottlenecks, reclaim your title, and scale smarter, this is your playbook. Let's dive in. Here are your hosts, Allie Porter and Elise Smith.
Welcome to the Mastering AI Momentum Show, where we help 7- and 8-figure business owners identify roadblocks in their business and explore how AI can accelerate their results. My name is Elise Smith, your AI business strategist with Millionaire Momentum, and we help founders and marketing leaders who struggle with unpredictable client acquisition, limited bandwidth, and wasted spend on strategies that don't convert, so they can finally scale with predictability, cut through the noise, and attract the right fit clients. Most of them come to us frustrated after trying Agentic AI or agencies that fell short, but with the right strategy, systems, and AI agents, they're able to streamline and build real momentum again. And so I am so excited today, guys, because we are joined by Christian Brown, who is the co-founder and chief marketing officer of Glewee, the all-in-one influencer marketing platform connecting 5,000 plus brands with over 15,000 influencers. Guys, when I saw this system and what they've built at Glewee, I was amazed, and you guys are going to be so too, especially with Christian. He has been recognized on Forbes 30 Under 30 for his work shaping the creator economy, and his insights have appeared in outlets like Digiday and Adweek and Forbes. And Christian, we're just excited to have you on the show. So welcome.
Wow, Elise, thank you very much. That was a fantastic intro.
Awesome. So let's start with your story. What drew you into the world of influencers and brand marketing so young?
Yeah, okay. Well, here, let me kind of put us back. I'm 27 now, so about 10, 11 years ago, right when I was first, I guess, getting online. In when I was 13, 14, the Facebook days, the blogging days on Tumblr, the early YouTube days. I think just being very online put me in a position to really understand the landscape that became social media that we know it today, because a lot of that transpired and evolved into Instagram. And this was Instagram image pre-reels, right? And then over time, friends and I would always say there's nothing that will come next, right? Instagram will take over the world and everything will happen on Instagram. And, Mark Zuckerberg and the crew bought it for $1 billion. And then we're kind of looking at that all right, there's a lot that will happen here, and it joined the Meta family, right? But in being online, I think that really allowed me to understand at a young age that a lot of business was happening online. And wanting to create businesses, primarily e-com stores at the time, and build them up and scale them and create different brands. It kind of led me to understanding okay, everything online is where we're creating and building these businesses. It was either I was doing it myself or with my friends. And then from there, we're thinking to ourselves, well, how do we market them? And a great answer that we kind of all looked at was, well, Instagram is a really easy and free way to get our ideas out there. So let's use Instagram, right? So we were building brands through different platforms like your Squarespaces or Shopify's. We're able to hook them up, drive e-com sales, but really market through places like Instagram. So through that, made a lot of friends that were also doing very creative roles or were also creating brands. And then that really led us to understand okay, we wanted to find some people that were popular online to be a part of these brands. One of my first brands was a lifestyle brand. And we're okay, if we're going to make clothes and we're going to actually have models using it, why not use our friends that were popular online? Right. So that led me to be working with different influencer type creators in New York and Miami and LA, and in high school, traveling around to go meet everybody that I knew from the internet. And so it kind of created this world, and we just built this big friend group around it. And then through that, in Los Angeles, I was meeting a lot of friends that were some of the first big name influencers on Instagram that were getting tens of thousands of dollars, right, to post on their Instagram pages from different brands. We're kind of looking at that and saying okay, well, if we can build small brands with small to mid-sized influencers and big brands are working with big influencers, there's a lot of money in that space from both sides. So looking at the two sides of the coin and really asking, okay, do you want to build brands and use influencers, or do you want to work with influencers to help build brands? And so understanding how the flywheel works was kind of that first step. And then, I don't know, I went to school for advertising and marketing. So that definitely helped play a little role in that. And the whole time I was in my university experience, I was always thinking from a traditional academic perspective as to like, okay, what am I learning about the advertising industry as where it is now? But I could always see through the lens of like the next 10 years when I was at school 6 years ago or so, and looked at it and said, where's advertising going to go? And if I had to have put all my eggs in one basket, which I pretty much did, it would have been to put them all in the influencer and social content space, because that's where I just saw so much growth. And it was just like happening in real time right in front of me. And everything that I understood from the advertising world was directly applicable in social media marketing, because it was just the newest form of advertising. And so that's what it has been. So just staying in tune with that, ahead of that, and finger on the pulse with that has kind of led us here today.
Wow, that is amazing. I love like thinking about the fact that you said you were in high school and you were able to travel around and go visit the people that you met online. That never happens. We never meet the people that we talk to online.
Yeah. The majority of everybody that I know comes from the internet in a very amazing way. That and the people I grew up with. It's either one of those two. There's really no in between.
That's so great. So let's talk about your company for just a second. Who could use your services, and exactly who do you serve and how do you serve them, so that people can hear that and then contact you if that's a good fit for them?
Yeah, absolutely. So on the brand side of things, right? Because as a marketplace, we have our influencers, which are our content creators and influencers. They have their own iOS app, so you can download Glewee, sign up as an influencer, and have a consistent deal flow. But on the brand side, we focus on two major sectors, one being e-commerce brands and the other being consumer apps. So if your product or service is meant to be marketed to the masses and wants to be going full scale, and can really go out to a very general version of your niche, then Glewee and influencer marketing are a perfect fit for you. And if you want to join on our platform, you can have a 30-day all access trial of the platform to create and launch campaigns in minutes and find influencers within seconds beyond that you can actually work with, and everything from communications, contracting, content creation and approval, all the way down to data tracking and ROI calculations. It all happens right in one place directly on Glewee.
How cool is that? I love that, especially because of the fact that sometimes you don't even know where to start when it comes to influencers. Like you think, okay, well, I see these different influencers and I'm just going to send them a message and hope they respond. And that's not really a good way to do it, especially because I'd imagine they get a ton of people messaging them spammy messages every single day. And so you help to really connect the two together, which is so powerful. I love that.
Yeah, and like traditional influencer marketing, some teams are coming to us saying that they're trying to do it with about 20 tools, right? Because there's your discovery of the influencers. So across the whole social suite, discovering them, then communicating with them. Are you DMing them, like you mentioned? Are you trying to email them? If so, how are you getting their emails? And then actually, when you do want to work with them, contracting them, right? People are using PandaDoc or DocuSign, or trying to do a Google Doc and send it over. So that can get very convoluted. And then from there, it's the content needs to be created. So how are you shipping the product to the influencer or managing that whole process? And then once the content's created, how are you doing a content approval process? How are you managing revisions or updates to the caption or the content itself? And then once it's ready for go live, how are you then managing that publishing of the content? And then once it's published, how are you tracking the data? And then once the data's out, what are you doing with the content? So who owns it? Who has the rights to use it? Where can you use it? Where can't you use it? So those are all the steps and layers that go into like a true influencer marketing engagement between one brand and one influencer. So that at scale is really what we do. And our platform does all of that with ease for our users.
Amazing. I love that you've thought through all the steps too. I mean, I just thought I would contact someone and send them a message and then work it out.
Yeah,
And there's
and that's
all
where a lot
those
of people start. Yeah. And that's,
so
that
cool.
is what it is it's turning people into advertisers and turning the individual person into a commercial studio. And so it's like, there's a lot of steps that go into that. Granted, in reality, we're sending someone a product and having them follow like a simple one pager with do's and don'ts and briefs and everything else. But at the end of the day, what happens is like an amazing 15 to 35-second video will come out, whether it goes viral or not. You still own that as a brand. You can still use that asset across your website, across your organic marketing channels. You can use it in a paid ad, and it could be your best performing paid ad ever. And we've seen that before. And so like, it's just times are a little different now, especially with paid digital advertising, where some 20-second video that a 26-year-old female out of California can make in a matter of an hour might perform 10 to 20 times better than something that you spend $30,000 in a professional studio to film and try to broadcast as a commercial.
Yeah, that is so fascinating. So before we move into kind of like your scaling story, how does someone know if they're ready to move into influencer marketing? Maybe they've done Facebook ads, or actually they're looking to do like ads versus influencer marketing. What kind of guidance would you give someone who's looking into that?
Yeah, really good question. I think that influencer marketing at its core is just another piece of the marketing mix. So it's not completely on the sideline, and it's not the initial part of a marketing strategy. It's batched directly in with the other major pieces, like your website, like your social medias, and like your paid ad strategy. And year over year, influencer marketing continues to grow in the distribution of that marketing mix. And so now I think that it sits directly at the table with a paid ad strategy and with a social media strategy. And so I think that in order to be ready for influencer marketing, you need a website that's set up to convert, whether you are an e-com product or a consumer app. Someone needs to be able to go to your website, understand what you do and how they can either purchase the product or become a user. If that's set up for success and you're starting your social media journey and creating that content on social and looking at your paid ad strategy to scale, I think that's when you start influencer marketing, because all of the content and the creative that comes out with the influencer marketing actually is able to go on your socials, on your website, and in your paid ads. So think of it as a way to fuel these future strategies. So it's not that you're going after just one and building it up in a silo, but instead you're using all of these in tandem to create and grow your marketing funnel.
Wow. So cool. I could talk about like what you do the whole hour long or the whole 30 minutes long, but let's talk about your early stages. What were some of the challenges that you had to overcome in order to get to the great heights that you've built your business to now?
Yeah, I think as a team, we've gone through so much. The ups, the downs, the funs, the not so funs, the roller coasters, like the whole nine over the last couple of years. And I think that where we really focused was where we wanted to be in the market. So I think, in our space, it is a semi-competitive landscape. There are your enterprise companies that have behemoths of technology platforms that have more data points than you and I could even spend hours talking about. And though those are great, they are for your enterprise clients and brands that want to spend $50,000 a year just on technology. So for us to look at that and to understand where we wanted to be in the market, we wanted to think about the type of users in the marketplace that we wanted to work with. And that would be your nano, mid-size, and micro influencers, but also the brands that match that. So we wanted to play in, like I said, the e-commerce and consumer app space, but the space that was also very welcoming to startups and new brands trying to enter new markets, or brands trying to expand to the US markets. And when we understood that and really understood that there was that hole in the market for that SMB side of things, we then were able to understand, okay, who are these people? What do they want? What stage of the business development are they in? Are they just starting their new brand? Are they scaling it from 500K to 5 million in revenue, right? Where are they? What do their teams look like? And what do the people on those teams need in order to allow for influencer marketing to drive great success? And when we were able to see that and visualize that, then we're able to continue building feature sets that would actually be useful to these users. Because products with a million features that are all V1 are cool, right? They do a lot of things and they have a lot of bells and whistles. But if you don't have your core products that you're able to really drive forward and give to a user on day one for them to find value in day 1.1, then you're just building Salesforce. And like it takes $1 billion to build Salesforce.
Yeah.
So finding where you want to be in the space and then building for that, that was a giant thing that we've come to learn and to grow into.
Yeah. And you can tell from the steps that you have now that I'm sure it was kind of trial and error of what it is that your clients actually wanted and what wasn't even useful. I always say, like, don't build in a silo. Like, it doesn't make sense to do that. And so I love that you've done that. So you had those challenges. And talk to me about like technology or AI in general. How has that helped you guys to really move your business forward on almost more of like a sales front, like how you're getting your clients right now?
So I think it's not just on a sales or a marketing acquisition front or anything like that. It's more of the whole process. I think looking at a true sales and marketing mix and thinking about not only the pipeline and the stages that live within it, but also being able to understand how to best communicate with your prospects, how to give them the right messaging, and how to like scale that up to be the most effective and efficient. I will say that once upon a time, it would take me 6 hours to build a very in-depth strategic influencer marketing approach / strategy for a prospect. If someone came to our door and they're like, how could this work for us? I would be over the moon to create a very in-depth strategy on how it could work for them. Now that takes me about 35 minutes, maybe 45 minutes start to finish. And sometimes I am insanely blown away with the ideas that we come up with. And by we, I mean our amazing team and our Agentic agents that are working alongside that. And I think with enough good training in the models that we work with, a lot of material that's created and creative elements that are designed and driven through what we do, they can come to life way faster than they would ever be able to do so. And so like material to support sales, you can make it, at lightning speed compared to where we were in the past.
Yeah, tell us more about these agentic AI systems that you've built, because I could geek out on that for sure.
Right. So no one really okay, there's a X amount of people in the world know what like a traditional creative brief might look like per creative field. And within marketing and advertising, there's a bunch of different ones per field. And in influencer marketing, it gets even more specific, right? But they're all built on very simple things. Like, what is a company overview? What is the idea and the scope of a project? What are key messaging points? What are do's and don'ts? What should a creative know about a brand before embarking on like a creative journey with them? So being able to take that and then being able to take what would be a large volume of really well-written creative briefs across a lot of brands and different product lines and different industries, and being able to identify what is good about this and what is clear and concise versus what is not, and then being able to ensure that an AI model can understand good versus bad and creative versus bland, and then being able to know the year 2025 and where everything on social media is going and how short form content is quote unquote king, and how the idea here is we want to create content that looks and feels like this, that follows a specific format and structure. All of these different components go into like what is good versus what is bad. And then now we're able to take a high level overview of a company and the goals that they want to reach and really bring that into some of the AI models that we've built. And with that, create influencer marketing scripts and briefs in a matter of minutes, and then take the human element and really tweak that, and then ensure that all the ideas can actually be brought to life in like a realistic manner. So doing like 80% of the legwork up front and then putting the human element behind the last 20% to really bring it across the finish line and to give it that like human jazz and touch. That's what really, it allows us to like skip a lot of the legwork in the beginning and just put our minds and our creativity to sprinkle on at the end.
Yes. And I think that you nailed that when it comes to AI and the connection that we have with humans and AI. Like, make AI do 80% of the work wherever you can. And then, just like you said, sprinkle that human aspect in at the very end, because that's the thing that's going to connect. And that's the thing that's going to bring in like that extra layer of realism, I should say. So that's really, really smart. So we've talked about kind of your early challenges and how you're using AI right now. I'm going to ask you to be vulnerable for 2 seconds.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
do you feel like is a challenge that you have right now in client acquisition or marketing at this exact moment that you're wanting to explore AI a little bit more in?
Well, I think, let's think about like a traditional SDR, BDR, AE situation from a sales team. I think that a lot of those roles are now going to shift more up chain into your AEs. And I think that for us, understanding, having signals in place to understand what brands and what niches and what industries are growing into our sweet spot. So having kind of triggers that exist around and are watching in social and are watching growth charts and are watching
Mhm.
new product and post updates from founders all over different industries, and like really having some form of AI watching that and understanding who is our ICP and being able to say this person just entered the bubble of ICP. Here's their contact information. Let's now, that's the 80% that we just talked about. Now give the 20% human element as a salesperson, be able to go out and actually pinpoint some marketing to them and then drive some messaging to them and then hopefully do some outbound to them and then drive sales conversations through that. I think that's an area that could be expanded on greatly. I just think that there's a lot to build in that regard before you can get it to a point that it's firing on the cylinders that it's meant to fire on.
Absolutely. What are some challenges or concerns that you can see from something like that?
Oh, I mean, you build the machine the wrong way and it's going to go fire off in every single different direction. So I think having a model itself that knows right from wrong, but also knows how to slow its roll a little bit, you really have to build guardrails, especially when you're working in AI. Otherwise, you're just creating like an ever growing monster. And I think that
Yeah.
like that's fine and it's great. And it's doing a lot of work for you. But if the work that it's doing for you isn't good work, you're going to spend more time correcting bad work than you would have just doing the work yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that's a major concern with all of this is, if you build it sloppy or lazy or slow or you're not putting in the work up front, I think you're going to really run into some larger problems with AI. And I think everyone wants to do AI and people are a little scared of it. And then those that are looking at it from like a data privacy perspective, rightfully so, are in fear a little bit. But I think you have to take the necessary steps ahead of time to build a system that is like safe and secure, but also working towards your own goals.
Yeah. Did you guys build your own agentic system or do you use third-party tools?
No, everything we have, we build in house, and so
Mhm.
we have a pretty interesting AI strategy for the future that we're looking to implement in the 2026 year into our platform that would help allow for our users to also be able to use different tools like these. So they will all be our own.
Love that. That's awesome. Can you give us a sneak peek maybe about like the future of AI with Glewee?
With Glewee, yes, I think that a lot of people, when they think of the future of AI with influencer marketing, I think their head goes to the wrong place, which we'll touch on in a second. I think for us, it's going to be all focused around making a fast system faster, an easy system easier, and I guess an affordable system worth even more. And so with that, being able to give a marketing manager or an influencer marketing expert in AI form to each and every user that already understands how to write a brief and already understands how to build a campaign and knows how to pick the right influencers for the right brand based on the right budget, being able to empower the users with essentially a team member, right? That would be our platform. That would allow for them to feel and be more confident in their investments in the influencer marketing space, knowing that the data is driving the decisions and also
Mm.
AI is kind of pointing them in the right direction. But at its core, right, there's a lot of creative elements that go into it. Like, what is your brief? What are your goals? What are you trying to do here? And just having just a creative edge with AI, I think is going to allow for our brands to take what they're doing now even to the highest level. So that's kind of where we're going platform wise. I think over the next 12 months, we're going to see a massive shift in AI content across social media. Like yesterday, ChatGPT and the OpenAI crew released Sora 2, which is a new AI short form content app. So people are going to be able to take their AI slop content that they're already posting on TikTok and Instagram, and now have a specific house for that, which will be Sora too. And I think it's actually going to catch on quite a bit. So we're going to see a lot more short form content flood the feeds, which I think is fine from an AI perspective. We knew it was coming, but I think it's going to allow for people to like be kind of creative. But I think Instagram and TikTok are going to see more and more and more of it. And how many times can I see, a bunny driving a sailboat without being like, this is a little weird. There's so many bunnies driving sailboats. So I think we'll see a lot more of it. And I think that what's going to happen for our industry in specific, people are going to get a little sick of that. And then people are going to resort back to the realism and the human touch and want their real product in the real hand of real consumers. Because at the end of the day, the AI model is not going to buy your product. They don't have a credit card.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. Like, it's almost as we are moving more towards the AI models and all the cool things that we can do with AI, that the human aspect is actually at a premium. Like, that's what people want. Yeah. And so I think it's really important to strike that balance, as you guys have done. So for someone who's listening to this, I mean, you're such a great example of balancing those two things of AI and the human aspect. What kind of tips or golden nuggets would you give someone who's worried that AI is just taking over too much, or they're worried that they need to incorporate AI, but they don't know how? So striking that balance.
Okay. I mean, if you think that AI is going to come for your job, if you're like genuinely deep down, like you can't sleep at night because of that, I think you certainly need to know how to use AI. Like there's a lot of YouTube you should be watching on this. There's amazing information out there on how to best use it. You should get a ChatGPT Pro Plus account, and you should really start talking to people and figuring that out. But I think that it's out there. It's out there in every form. There are so many apps right now built on GPT and built on AI and built on different models that exist out there. Everything is AI in a normal world as it stands, right? When you go to shuffle on Apple Music or on Spotify, right? It's AI that's understanding what you're most likely to like next, therefore shuffling you into, right? So it's been around us for a while, and it's only just much more in the limelight because people are talking about it. But I think that it is going to be extremely important, especially if you're younger going into the workforce, to be able to have that upper leg on others and be able to know how to use AI, be able to know how to speed up your workflows and make things faster and easier for yourself using AI is important. And I think that if you're really, really, really afraid of how your job or your industry is going to be impacted by AI, I think you should think about how to build AI into your business model so that you don't get left behind, but instead you start offering that at the forefront of what you're doing to your customers or your clients.
Yeah, great point. Perfect. I love it. So if someone is hearing everything that you're talking about here and they're like, I've got to learn more, or I've got to connect with Christian, where can people find you?
You can find me on LinkedIn. You can type in Christian Brown. Hopefully I pop up. You can message me on LinkedIn, add me there. I'm very active on LinkedIn. Or if you have interest in joining Glewee, if you are on that e-commerce or consumer app side of things, you can go to www.glewee.com, glewee.com, and you can tap that start your 30-day trial button in the very top right. Super apparent. You won't miss it. And you can sign up for our platform. And if you are an influencer, content creator, or an affiliate in the US market and you want to be on our platform, you can download Glewee on the App Store and sign up as a creator today.
That is so great. Love it. Well, this has been such a fun conversation. Thank you so much, Christian, for just the insights and just everything that you've built. I mean, you should be really proud of yourself. I'm sure you already are, but to be able to accomplish all that you have at your young age, but also just what you're doing for the businesses that you're working with in general. So I am happy to get this out to everybody that I know who's looking into influencer marketing.
It takes a team, takes a village.
Absolutely. Yep. And to everyone tuning in, thank you for listening to the Mastering AI Momentum Show. Our mission is to help you break through those bottlenecks so that you can scale smarter with AI and accelerate your momentum. We'll see you on the next episode. Thanks, guys.
You've been listening to Mastering AI Momentum. If today's episode gave you clarity or sparked a breakthrough, share it, review it, Leave us a comment and show Ali and Elise how you're turning AI into ROI. And make sure you subscribe, because the next episode could be the strategy that unlocks your next level. Until then, build smart, scale fast, and let AI multiply your momentum.